Hey everybody, Andy here. This is going to be my Chicago Marathon recap, but first, let's go for a Halloween run. Hey, back from the run, also back from doing a little bit of shopping. We'll talk about both things in this video. I guess kind of first, the run. 15 miles, 8 minutes per mile through the Bresnia Woods and a little bit into the Salt Creek Woods out here in the western suburbs of Chicago. It's really kind of a great trail, and right now it's beautiful. One of the things I was kind of surprised about is it's Halloween days, the day that I'm recording this, October 31st, and man, at 8 o'clock in the morning, there were a lot of people out running and biking just in costumes, not part of a group, just individually going out there. I don't have a costume this year, sorry about that. Maybe in the years going forward, or maybe for a fun race. But, so that was kind of the run. Beautiful day. It was kind of in the low 40s when it started, ended almost 50 degrees. That was just perfect weather for a nice long run. Then after that, we came back. We went out to the Chicago Premium Outlets. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it kind of fits into today's topic, which if you can't tell from here and the background for today, this is my Chicago Marathon recap. I know. It's late. It's, I think, 3 weeks late, but at least, hey, it's still the month of October. I didn't procrastinate all the way in November. First, the Outlet Mall picked up some awesome swag. The finisher shirt from the Chicago Marathon. I bought this kind of branded pullover quarter zip before the marathon because I was extremely excited for the marathon. We'll talk more about that, why I was so excited, but I wanted some gear before, so I bought this. But man, lesson learned. I don't know if you can see it, but the finisher shirt bought at the expo or bought online at the Nike store beforehand, $14. Well, $14.99. So just absolutely phenomenal. Also picked up not a finisher's item, but this is like the thermal, the Nike Thermal Chicago Marathon branded stuff. Normal price $80 if you were to buy it online or before the event. Got this for less than $30. So if you're fortunate enough to be in the Chicago area or you're passing through and you want some more marathon gear, hit up the outlets because every single year they send kind of the surplus stuff to the local outlet malls and you can get them up really cheap. Okay, so let's kind of get into the marathon recap, if you will. Start with the ending. My time was 3:23:32, which for me, I hit the B goal, missed the A goal, obviously also hit the C goal, and we'll go through what those goals were. So my A goal, I really wanted a 3:15 marathon. Now, if you guys don't know, it's my first ever marathon. Actually, it's the first ever any type of race more than 5K. And those 5Ks weren't really run competitively. They were from years ago, kind of, we did a 5K9 with our Labrador. I would run 5Ks with the wife, not really training or working on distance running. I kind of came to the sport 2013, kind of late, not late in life, but late in kind of a runner's life. And so this was my first anything race more than a 5K. So kind of based off training, I'd set an A goal at 3:15. a B goal of 3:30 and a C goal of just get the thing done and pick up one of these sweet finisher medals, which obviously hit the C goal. The 3:23 got me under the B goal. The A goal, you know, I went for it. So rewinding a little bit, kind of the weekend was absolutely phenomenal. You know, I've never been a part of a big marathon weekend as a participant. My wife's run quite a few half marathons, so I've been a part of kind of the expos and going to see all that awesome stuff, but never when it was for my own race. So, you know, I hit the expo on Friday, went by the Tracksmith pop-up also on Friday. Saturday, just got good lunch. The wife and I, even though we live in the area, we got a hotel downtown, so we didn't have to worry about the commute. We didn't have to worry about waking up extremely early. I mean, still woke up early the race day, but we didn't have to worry about kind of all those logistics by getting a place downtown. So I guess it kind of leads us into, you know, Sunday morning. We woke up, I think, oh, another thing, I journal things, right? And so you know, I do this to kind of help visualize what I want to accomplish and the steps I need to get there. And so, you know, here's the pre-race goal page, right? And it has the goals in there, all of the gear that I use, my bib, oh, which that's one thing to talk about the expo. So I was originally assigned kind of to a later corral, and the people at the expo were gracious enough to move me up into Corral C, which really kind of made my weekend, because, you know, my A goal was 3:15, and my original assigned corral, the fastest official pacer was, you know, something around 4:15, something like that. So I was really kind of getting nervous that I was gonna have to run completely alone to come anywhere close to my goal race. But by moving into the C group, I was able to join up with the 3:15 pace group, which was absolutely amazing. So thank you to everyone at the expo, because that really absolutely made my weekend. So anyway, let's come forward to Sunday morning. It's Sunday morning. We wake up at, let's see, took notes so I can remember. We woke up at 4:45. Got out of the hotel around 5. The corrals opened at, what was it? Or the gates opened at 6, I think. And you know, my hotel was about a mile and a half away, so just about perfect. Got there, the gates were already opened. And it was already warm, right? It was already starting to get warm. Got through the bag check. One of the kind of funny things about going to the bag check is, you know, we had these clear drawstring bags. I think I've already thrown my way. And, you know, they made 40,000 of them, I'm sure, and so they're not the highest quality bag. Well, I'm kind of have it slung over my shoulder on the way to the gear check. The string breaks and completely comes out of the bag. So I stopped by Buckingham Fountain here. I don't know if anyone knows where that's at, but I spent probably 5 minutes just kind of nervously rethreading that drawstring back through the place and tying a new knot so I could check my gear. But anyways, got to the gear check. Oh, one thing, by the way, you know, a friend of mine used to have this saying that people are sheeple. And man, this is so true. So, you know, back in kind of the starting area of a major marathon, at least in Chicago, there's tons and tons of porta potties. But people always kind of line up for the same one. And that happened to me. There was a line that, I don't know, had to have been quarter mile, maybe not quarter mile, at least 1/10 of a mile long, for like a row of porta potties. And literally you just went around the next turn and there was a row that the line was like 4 people deep. So just, you know, make sure that you kind of take in the whole scene, and maybe you don't have to wait so long. Okay, so get into the corral, and it's already warm, right? I have here in my notes from looking back at the official weather, the temperature at the start was 72 degrees with 68% humidity, constant wind of 13 miles per hour, gusting to 24 at the start time, which was right around 7:30. I officially went past the gun at 7:40:27. Yeah, and just standing in the corral, the heat, the energy was amazing. But I was looking at my watch and just standing there waiting. You know, I was already up over like 100 and 105 beats per minute, and so I knew I just needed to calm down. Thankfully, I found a friend, and we just kind of were able to talk in the corral, which was great. Kind of settle each other's nerves, and then I guess, you know, let's kind of go out, you know, by the 5K. So, like I said, I was able to hop in with the 3:15 group, pace group, which was great. My plan at the beginning while I'm staying in the start corral was just hold on to the 315 groups. Just hold on to it for as long as I could. 5K went by feeling great. We were at an average of 720. Temperature was still 72 degrees. We get through the 10K. I feel really good. Heart rate's still pretty reasonable. It's still 72 degrees. But now the wind is starting to pick up. It's like 15 degrees. By the 15K mark, starting to run kind of hot. And so the course goes way up. I don't know if you can see it on that, but it goes way up here and then turns around and comes back down. And once we turned around and came back down, we were in a really strong headwind. I think by this point in time, the wind is up like 15 miles per hour, gusting into the mid to high 20s. So I wanted to run in a pack, but and I was with the 315 pack. But what I was noticing is I would duck into the pack and I'd try to be kind of in the back of it, out of everyone's way. It was great. The wind would break, but because by this point in time it's 70, 73 degrees, the body temperature would get really high, and I'd start to get really, really hot running inside this pack. So I would step outside the pack and run next to it to get the wind, and it would cool me off, and that felt great. But then you're running into a almost 20 mile per hour headwind, and at times gusting over that. So it's really taking a lot of energy to kind of run next to the pack, and I would go back into the pack, cut the wind, but then start overheating and running back out. And so it was a really kind of interesting circumstance, especially for me who's never run a big race, never run a long race, and never really ran in a pack. Trying to navigate that was pretty tough for me. That's definitely something that's kind of like in the mind going forward for next races. Get to the 20K. We're still clipping along. We're on the pace. We had some of the greatest pacers. There's this one guy, I don't know his name, but he had these bunny ears on. You might see him in some of these videos. But I don't know what his like actual marathon PR time is, because he was just like otherworldly. He'd like run out of the pack, cheer up the crowd, give them the whole like stadium, let's go, let's go, let's go. He'd take the pacer sign, like turn upside down, like play air guitar with the crowd to get them all pumped up, and then he'd jump back in the pack and start pacing. It was awesome, and somehow, at least as far as I was able to hold in the pack, man, he had that energy the entire race. But anyways, the Pacers were doing a good job keeping us going. We come across the half marathon at 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 59 seconds for an average pace of 7:23 per mile. So we're on the pace, and honestly, the pace group was kind of pushing a little faster than what we needed to be. And every time we'd hit a clock on the course, we were always gaining seconds on the 3:15 mark. So we'd pass a clock, and the pacer with all the energy would say, we've gained 10 seconds. We're now 20 seconds clear of the goal. We'd pass the next one and be like, we're 30 seconds clear of the goal. And so we were kind of moving for our target pace. Come around to the 30K mark, and this was really kind of an interesting experience for me because I felt great. Like the energy was great. I'll talk about the nutrition here in a second, but the energy was great. Like the legs felt really good, and then I kind of started getting tightness or fatigue. I'm not really sure what the proper terminology is, but like the anterior muscle on the front of your leg, like your shin muscle, essentially, the one right next to the shin bone. And I've never experienced this before, like period. Never in training, never in like high school track and field. Like I used to play this sport called hurling competitively. It's a big anaerobic sport. Like never experienced fatigue in that area. I've cramped in the calves before, cramped like the hammies before, the low hammies, but the front of my shin, just I could feel fatigue and some tightness, and that kind of started like 25 to 30K. Pace was still good though. For the 25 to 30K, we averaged 7:34 per mile, but the temperature is starting to pick up and the wind is still sustaining. So then kind of things just fell apart. I mean, first marathon, a lot of people blow up, but I don't really think I hit the wall because my energy stores felt good. I think I hit that part of the nutrition. I blew up in that I was with the pace group, feeling really good, and then just kind of out of nowhere, my hamstring just locked up. And it was actually like not down low on the hamstring, but it was up high, which I've never had a cramp up there before, like kind of where the glute meets the hammy. So I kind of obviously fell off the pace because I couldn't like barely move the leg. And then when I stopped to try to stretch it out, the left leg just decided to join in the fun. And so like double hammy cramps, about probably a 34K mark or so. So, you know, then all of a sudden there was like an 8:30 mile in there and then like a 9:30 mile. At that point in time, like the A goal was just absolutely gone. Kind of 35 to 40K, that next little segment, man, it was a struggle. Like, I know it was a struggle for everybody. It was a hot day. You know, there were elite runners or sub-elite or American development or whatever they're called in the Chicago Marathon, and people in like the A corral and the B corral that were like giving up at the 8-mile mark. And by the 15-mile mark, there was a lot of people walking, and some people just stepping off the course or getting to an aid station and just staying and waiting, I guess, to be taken back to the start gate. And so that really like kind of messes with your mind. And at first, like, I felt good because like I was able to endure and keep up with the group, but then it kind of got to this point where like both hamstrings are cramping up. There's like tightness in the front of the shin, and you've just spent like I've just spent the last 2.5 hours watching better runners than I, like completely fall out of the marathon, and that really messes with your mind. Like, I've never experienced anything like that in any sort of sport endeavor of like questioning yourself, and so like that was kind of a crazy experience, and you know, you just kind of have to have a mantra and just kept like telling yourself like just keep going, or you know, we heard this. I think Jesse Itzler, the owner of Atlanta Hawks, I heard him in a podcast one time. He does ultra endurance sports, like 100-milers, you know, and he said one of his mantras, he just tells himself like my name is Jesse Itzler and I don't get tired. At least I think it was Itzler's someone, but I think it was him. And so I'm just telling myself like I'm Andy Hahn, I don't get tired, right? Like it sounds silly, but when you're in the middle of a marathon, like you just got to keep talking to yourself, and you got to keep yourself like in a good positive place. And you know, I kept this so this little band here, right? This is it was like the COVID clearance. So when you went through the expo, you got this, you had to keep it on your wrist, and it really just you know, it gives you the clearance to get in, says that you've either been vaccinated or you've tested negative. And I wrote on there, you know, if you can see, you know, Mom, have to make sure I have it the right side up. But anyways, you know, so like my mom passed away in the early 2020. She was pretty young. She was in, you know, her 50s. And so, like I used to stay up at night, like talking to her when I was getting into running, like, hey, how cool would it be to like do a marathon? Like, how cool would it be to like, to try to qualify for Boston? Like, I don't think that I can. And she would always be one of the people saying like, you can, like, I know you can. And so to finally being a race, right, like, you know, I'm telling myself, like, my name's Andy Hahn, like, I don't get tired, or you know, like, force yourself to smile because it messes with, like, the chemicals in your brain, and it tricks yourself into thinking you have more energy, and just, like, looking at my arm, and just, you know, thinking about my mom, right, and, like, and finishing that race, because, you know, it would have meant a lot to her, and so it meant a lot to me, and so, you know, you draw on, like, all of these things, right, like, your friends, your family, your training, your mantras. You know, for me, like my mom, you know, my wife, she was there several times. Of course, she got some of the awesome video that's kind of been up. You just kind of draw on everything you have, and you just keep pushing forward. You know, I like to say that, you know, running is simple, but it's not easy, and it really is. It's one foot in front of the other. Breathe in, breathe out, and just keep going, right? Like, and so, you know, it was just kind of everything I had to get there. But anyway, so we get past 40K, heading down towards the finish, and we are, I guess, coming in at like 8:37 per mile. And by the time that we finish, you know, it's over 75 degrees. They use an event alert system, and it had gone from yellow, which it was when it started, to red. And I saw it turn red. I don't remember what aid station, but man, like, there's an aid station. I saw that the banner was red, and whew, like, that'll also mess with your mind, right? Like when they're telling you these are bad conditions and you see it visually on the course, like that also messes with you. So that was kind of the race, right? So we get to the end, get the medal, and, you know, again, I don't think I hit the wall because, like, energy, like, I still felt pretty good. Like, I had quite a bit of energy. Actually, like, I didn't get to the end and collapse or any of that sort of stuff. I think I missed the electrolyte part of of the nutrition. So I hit the energy part, missed the electrolyte part, sodium, potassium, there's other electrolytes, I don't remember what all of them are. So, you know, I think I underestimated the heat, underestimated the distance maybe a little bit at the pace, because in my training I went almost all the way to full marathon distance on some of the long runs. So I knew I could go the distance, but never at like the pace I was going for. So, you know, kind of takeaways is better nutrition plan. Need to remember that you know, to keep your muscles working, you need to keep your electrolyte balance up. On the course, I was kind of starting to realize this, so this kind of gets into nutrition. So I was taking a Maurten gel, alternating the caffeine and non-caffeine every 4 to 5 miles. Because it was so hot, my original intention was to take water at the aid stations. I started taking Gatorade, because it's the Gatorade Endurance, which has extra sodium in it. But it's tough to like get enough of that while you're running in a big pack and while you're on the course. So I would take a Gatorade. If I didn't get a lot, I'd try to grab a second one, and I'd grab 1 or 2 waters, and, you know, like over the head, on the body, or down the back, just to kind of stay cool. So that was the nutrition, and I think for carbohydrates and energy store, it worked out really well. I think it was deficient in particularly sodium and potassium. So, you know, going forward, we'll have to look at some different gels, like salt tabs or something like that, to add in the extra electrolytes to keep the muscles from locking up in the middle of the race. You know, it was awesome. I guess that's kind of all I have to say about it in the end. It's like I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I was curious, having never run even a half marathon before, whether I would get done and there, you know, I was pretty sure that I'd be, you know, there'd be satisfaction or a sense of accomplishment, but I was curious about the enjoyment. Like, would I enjoy the experience? And ultimately I did. Like, I absolutely loved it, and my mind has just been working constantly since then of, you know, like, what did I do wrong in the pace group? Like, if I would have just gone back to the 320 and stayed with them, would I have not locked up? Maybe, like, that might be a first time mistake. But again, I don't think it was an energy issue. I think it was a nutritional issue. The heart rate never got terribly crazy. So I think my fitness was pretty good. I think mostly it was a fueling issue, but the mind is kind of turning on what can I do better in my training. And, you know, I'll talk at some point in time about my training leading into Chicago and the training for the next marathon, about pre-race nutrition, in-race nutrition. It was a blast, and I really enjoyed it. And, you know, if you're on the fence about it, or a marathon, a half marathon, a 5K, just do it, right? Like, go out there and really try to push yourself. And even if you hate it, you know, at least you can say that you've done it once. And, you know, going forward, you can maybe give it another try. But that's kind of all I got for today. I'll see you, I guess, sometime after another run with another video. Thanks.